Week number 13 of the 2025 fantasy football season comes to a close tonight on Monday Night Football with the Giants going up against the Patriots. In today's video, we are going to get a jump start on week number 14 by breaking down my top 5 defenses to stream for week number 14 of the 2025 fantasy football season. Now, it's important to note that I am only going to be talking about defenses that are readily available in today's video. So if the Seahawks defense is available in your league, the Browns or the Denver Broncos, then you should be picking them up and they would be taking priority over the defenses that I discussed, because all of the defenses that I discuss in today's video are going to be available in 50% of leagues or more. Before we end up getting on into things, though, in today's video, I would like to ask that if you are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. So without further ado, let's get into my week number 14 defenses to stream for the 2025 fantasy football season. We begin with my number 1 defense to stream on the week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the New Orleans Saints at home in Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers defense is currently rostered in 43.7% of leagues on NFL, 30% on Sleeper, 23% on ESPN, and 28% on Yahoo. So if you play on CBS, MFL, any other fantasy football platform, then the rostership percentage may be slightly different, though I will note in some cases there could be a drastic difference from one platform to the other. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go up against the Arizona Cardinals last week at home in Tampa. They win that game 20-17, 2 sacks, 1 INT, 1 fumble recovery, and 17 points allowed. Now, while I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have one of the best defenses in the NFL, and while I definitely would not have 100% confidence in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense in a lot of matchups this season, I have 100% confidence in them going up against the New Orleans Saints. The Buccaneers played the Saints earlier this season, and the Buccaneers defense in week 8 at New Orleans, they win the game 23-3, 5 sacks, 2 INTs, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 touchdown, and 3 points allowed. I understand that maybe Tyler Shuck does show a little bit more life than Spencer Rattler did, but it's not like Tyler Shuck is Patrick Mahomes and Spencer Rattler is Jamarcus Russell, right? There isn't that big of a difference between the two guys, and the Miami Dolphins defense played very well up against the Saints last week at home in Miami. They win the game 21-17, 4 sacks, 1 INT, 1 fumble recovery, and 17 points allowed. So again, while I can't fully glaze the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense because I don't believe that they have one of the best defenses in the NFL, that they are this elite defense to be feared, but anytime you can stream a defense going up against Tyler Shuck and the New Orleans Saints, you are going to have a great time. So with proof of concept already from earlier on in the season, where the Buccaneers defense played very well up against them, I believe we could see a repeat this week. Now, the Buccaneers play the Falcons next week on Thursday Night Football. I don't think the Buccaneers defense would be a quote-unquote must-start defense in that game, but if you do have to play them, there are definitely far worse options than them. So I would be fine playing the Buccaneers up against the Falcons next week, but I love them this week up against the Saints. Then we got the Miami Dolphins at the New York Jumbo Jets in MetLife. The Dolphins defense currently rostered in 5.4% of leagues on NFL, 19% on Sleeper, 13.6% on ESPN, and 20% over on Yahoo. The Dolphins defense week 13 versus the Saints, like I talked about just before, they win the game 21-17. I was very disappointed that the Miami Dolphins just kind of let them hang around. They were playing with their food. They didn't go for the dagger in the back of the Saints in that game. They kind of just let them hang around. Tua did not play very well in that game at all, but hey, a win is a win. 4 sacks, 1 INT, 1 fumble recovery, and 17 points allowed. The Dolphins played the Jets back in September. I get it was a different quarterback, right? Just like with the Saints, it was a different quarterback here. It was Justin Fields. This week, we should get Tyrod Taylor again. The Dolphins defense had 2 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, and 21 points allowed. The Dolphins need to remember what the Jets took from them. That illegal hip drop tackle up against Tyreek Hill cost Tyreek Hill his season, and the Miami Dolphins need to remember that and play very well up against Tyrod Taylor this week. I do think that Tyrod Taylor is better for the Jets offense compared to Justin Fields. Now, again, it's another scenario where it's not like Tyrod Taylor is one of the best quarterbacks ever and Justin Fields is some bum, right? It's not like Tyrod Taylor's amazing, but it definitely is worse for the Dolphins defense to go up against Tyrod compared to go up against Justin Fields. But even still, the Miami Dolphins defense has allowed 17 points or less in 3 straight games and has looked great in all 3 of those games. Back in week 4 when the teams played, they win the game 27-21, 2 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, 21 points allowed. The Falcons defense last week at the New York Jumbo Jets, they lose 24-27, 2 sacks, 27 points allowed. So with the Dolphins defense playing very strongly as of recently, I do like to ride the wave of a hot defense. And again, I understand that the Dolphins don't have the best defense on paper. They're playing very, very well, and I would expect them to play well up against the Jets. The Dolphins do face the Steelers next week in Pittsburgh if they do take care of business up against the Jets. And that is a important piece of the puzzle, right? Because if Tyrod Taylor blows our back out and we lose all that momentum, then I definitely would not feel comfortable playing the Dolphins up against the Steelers. But as long as they win the game up against the Jets, you definitely should feel comfortable starting them again up against the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Then we got the cold like Minnesota Vikings going up against the Washington Commanders, 20.5% rostered on NFL, 24% on Sleeper, 37.8% on ESPN, and 33% over on Yahoo. Before we break down the Vikings defense and the rest of the defense is in today's video, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends, our partner over at Underdog. If you're brand new to Underdog and sign up using promo code Notorious, or by clicking on the link in the video description, you receive a free pick plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus funds, as well as if you play $5 in the pick'em, you receive an additional $100 in bonus funds or in bonus entries. How does the pick'em work? It's incredibly simple. You make at least 2 picks on the players higher or lower. If those picks hit, you get paid. If you do multiple other picks, then the payout will be higher, but all of the picks need to hit. Make sure you guys do check that out. Promo code Notorious, or by clicking on the link in the video description. The Minnesota Vikings are going up against the Commanders this week, 20.5% rostered on NFL, 24% on Sleeper, 37.8% on ESPN, and 33% on Yahoo. I will note that the Buccaneers and the Dolphins defense are definitely the tippy top tier at defenses to stream this week. I feel very confident about the Buccaneers, very confident about the Dolphins. My confidence level does start to dwindle the deeper and deeper down we get in the defense to stream rankings. Now, maybe miraculously, Jaden Daniels does return at some point this season. I don't really think that would be the smart move for the Commanders. The season is lost. It's not like you can magically pull a rabbit out the hat and, win the rest of the games this season and then you're in the playoffs. That's just not happening. That is simply not happening. And while the Commanders did show to be a little bit feisty up against the Denver Broncos last night on Monday Night Football, in a game where the Broncos win 27-26, 2 sacks, 1 INT, 26 points allowed for the Broncos defense, I just think with a Brian Flores-led defense, they are going to be able to put pressure onto Marcus Mariota and make Marcus Mariota make some mistakes. The defense up against Mono Man Sam last week in Seattle, they lose 0-26 because Max Brosmer somehow is magically 9,000 times worse than J.J. McCarthy. 4 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, and 20 points allowed in that game. The Vikings defense does show fire at points in the season. They haven't been a consistent fantasy defense. They haven't been a fantasy defense that we're given the Gawk 9,000 special to on a weekly basis. But up against Marcus Mariota and the Washington Commanders offense, I would be willing to roll the dice on them in this game. Now, the Vikings face the Cowboys next week in Jerry's World. So while the Vikings defense definitely does, again, have those flashes, with how red hot the Dallas Cowboys offense is, I would not touch the Vikings defense with a 10-foot pole up against the Cowboys. Next up, we got the Tennessee Titans at the Cleveland Browns, 0.4% roster on NFL, 2% on Sleeper, 1% on ESPN, and 3% over on Yahoo. The Titans defense, week 13 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game was not in Duval. It was at home in Tennessee. The Titans lose 3-25 because, of course, they do, right? The Titans are just completely dysfunctional. But if there ever was a game for them to start percolating, it would be this week up against the Cleveland Browns offense. 3 sacks, 25 points allowed. I've been talking about this a lot this season. I actually think the Titans defense is pretty good. But when you have zero life to the offense, when the offense shows zero signs of life, they've got a DNR, do not resuscitate, then how can you possibly play good defense? Because eventually, at some point, they're going to tap, they're going to call uncle, and just stop giving a fuck when the offense cannot move the ball. So while the Titans defense definitely doesn't look exceptional on paper, I do think they're better than people give them credit for. And going up against the Cleveland Browns offense may be that golden ticket Willy Wonka style for the Tennessee Titans to actually show up. And again, they played pretty good up against the Jaguars. It's just the offense doesn't do anything. 3 sacks and 25 points allowed in that game. The 49ers defense, week 13 at the Cleveland Browns, they win 26-8, 3 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, and 8 points allowed. So while I am definitely more of a believer of Shedeur Sanders than most people are, I don't think we should be crowning this guy just yet, right? It's not like he was amazing up against the 49ers defense. Now, I think Jerry Jeudy, that ball was slightly overthrown. I think Jerry Jeudy, if he wasn't a complete and utter bum, probably could have fucking caught that. But it is what it is. The Titans defense face the 49ers next week. And again, the 49ers just devoured Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns offense. 3 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, 8 points allowed. Coming off a bye week, the 49ers will be next week. So they're going to blow the back out of the Titans. There should be no reason to start them yet again. Final defense to stream in today's video is going to be the left hands up. Who are we? The Commanders at the cold like Minnesota Vikings. 6.7% rostered on NFL, 12% on Sleeper, 2.7% on ESPN, and 5% over on Yahoo. The Commanders defense, week 13 versus the Denver Broncos. They lose 26-27, but the Commanders defense is dog shit. So the fact that they got a sack, the fact that they got an INT, I give them a nice round of applause. They kept them in the game. 27 points allowed. This has really nothing to do with the Commanders defense though, right? The streaming of the Commanders defense, it could be anyone out there, and you will be streaming up against the Minnesota Vikings offense. I get JJ McCarthy will probably return. I don't give a shit. JJ McCarthy is going to make bad decisions. He is going to make rookie mistakes. He's going to make bone-headed decisions that are going to lead a not-so-hot Commanders defense to potentially look like the 85 Bears. The Seahawks, they have a great defense. They go up against the Vikings. They win 26-0. Wasn't even a remotely close contest. 4 sacks, 4 INTs, 1 fumble recovery, 1 touchdown, 0 points allowed. I obviously don't expect a Seahawks-esque performance out of the Commanders this week. And I get there is inherently risk with chancing things on a Commanders defense that isn't good at all. But when you have a matchup like the Minnesota Vikings, I am willing to get up to bat and take the swing on this one. So next week, the Commanders face the Giants. The Commanders defense is only startable in very rare circumstances like this week up against 9. So facing the Giants offense would not be one of those rare exemptions, I guess is the word that I was trying to use. So don't be starting the Commanders up against the Giants offense. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did enjoying, make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button down below like it owes you some money. Leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. Make sure that you do check out one of the videos on your screen if you haven't seen already. Love you long time. As always, good boy.